morning. Shoot. It doesn't have the diagrams in it, but you'll see the 33 pages. You just need to insert those diagrams. But it might end up.
Let's recite the New Lord's Prayer and close out, of which are the All right, hello everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. I just need to pull up some more documents. All right, let's begin with reciting prayer for the spiritual workers. And we'll move into today's open discussion. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right. Welcome, everybody, to open discussion of various topics, class 82. I hope you enjoyed the week off. And I also hope you took the opportunity to review the playlist I mentioned last time, covering those basics of metaphysics, mysticism. We will continue our study of the IMKC methodology and move into the first main area of study, the mystic constitution of man and the esoteric makeup of man. But before we go into that, do we have any questions or comments? So I can see it better. Let me screen share this. All right, well, there's no questions and no comments. Let's jump right in and pick up where we left off. I believe we stopped after the introduction and the preface. I believe we stopped here at the Mystic Constitution. Also, feel free to ask questions as we go through the material, either in the chat or if you're joining us via Zoom. Use raise hand feature to ask your questions audibly. And we will do our best to get those answered for you. So again, as a reminder, we're spending the next couple of weeks reviewing the methodology of the mystic teachings given through the IMKC, or the International Mystic Knowledge Center. Then from there, we will move into a study of the teachings by Yogi Ramacharaka. You can find those texts, the 14 lessons, advanced concepts, and a couple of the texts that we're going to review. They're on the mysticknowledge.org website in the e-library. I believe on the first page, there is a section dedicated to Yogi Ramacharaka. You can download those PDFs, begin studying and taking notes so that when we move into that particular section, you will be ready and have your questions prepared beforehand. Let's begin. First main area of study of the International Mystic Knowledge Center's methodology is the mystic constitution of man, or the esoteric makeup of man. This document isn't anything new. The concept I offer here, I only hope that it serves as a contribution for this segment of time within man's development. We hope to express the subject from a more innovative perspective that lays out several clearly defined methodologies to assist the student in developing his concept along the lines of higher metaphysical thought. Man is a far more complex being than is seen on the surface by most observers. Under the philosophy of most mystics and yogic teachings, they believe that man possesses the potential of great feats of psychic and mental abilities. The mystic believes that man is spirit, a divine spark of God, wrapped in various layers of gross material that molds and conforms man to an involved state of being. Right? Involved referring to involution. That should be a familiar term. Under this state, man receives directives from the divine laws of karma that permeates through all creation and which helps him to gain control over his environment and inner self over a period of time cycles. The yogic philosophy teaches that man has many facets to his makeup. Man's true nature is spirit, divine spark of God, and everything else is but a divine sheath of clothing to weather the pathway of any storms through life. Each divine sheath of clothing can be considered a state of being manifesting a specific level of consciousness that inhibits the inner light of the spirit. However, each divine sheath of clothing or group of divine sheaths of clothing make up the level of consciousness, lower and higher aspects of man. The following are the 12 main components of the mystic makeup of man. Scroll down. So in order to teach the ancient teachings of the masters, we must first understand how the ancient teachers perceived the makeup of man and how the manifestation of man came about. In this section of this pamphlet, I'll briefly cover how the ancient teachings describe the mystic constitution of man. I will attempt to connect the dots on the various philosophies of the ancient teachers that describe various components of man's existence. The following are the 11 major components of man's existence. 1, spirit. 2, the soul. 3, the auric body. 4, the mental bodies. 5, the Shakti and Kundalini. 6, the Chakra System. 7, the Nadi System. 8, the subtle energy formations. 9, the Etheric Body. 10, Astral Body. And 11, physical body. So let's look at each of these points. Starting with 1, the spirit, the divine spark of God within man. The endless potential of power for the soul of man, unmanifested as spirit, yet manifested through the soul as expressed power. To understand the spirit, we must understand that we can only understand some faint concept of God, the supreme absolute. Spirit is a divine spark of God, which has involved itself as a point of consciousness within man. This point of consciousness is the spirit of man's existence. In a state of unmanifested existence, it moves to manifest a part of itself as a point of consciousness on the highest level of manifestation within creation, which is the soul. The I am of man, known as the true self of man and said to be the divine spark of God, God as the absolute within man, referring to the soul. The spirit is the stationary component of our true existence, emerged within the absolute, the all in all, giving the directives of God and making sure the created soul moves out into the manifested realms of existence and gains eons of experience cycles before returning back to the spirit, positioned as conscious gods. So I want to point out, although in this text we're focusing specifically on humanity, this process applies to all of manifestation, applies to all of creation, but including galaxies, planets, and other life streams. But we're specifically focusing on the mystic constitution of man in this text. So it'll always be brought back to a level in which it's easy for us to comprehend and understand. Number 2, the soul. Let's see, just do a quick check to see where the footnotes are referenced so I can know when to jump into them. I'll just read them at the end. To the soul, the manifested power of the spirit, the expressed intelligence of the higher self that is above consciousness. The soul, using the vast components of the 4 Shakti principles, first point, of the universe to form a localized field of consciousness, which is described as an ovoid-shaped auric field of highly spiritualized mental substance by the soul that energizes the incoming and outgoing subtle flow of energies in order to move through the manifested realms of creation to gain cycles of experience. The soul becomes the main vehicle of expression for the spirit to manifest its directives of the involution through evolution to evolution. The ancient teachings tell us that pure consciousness is Shiva, an ultra-positive static power of potential, and within it, Shiva is the source of power. The source and power for Shakti. According to the ancient teachings, Shakti is a female power that flows from Shiva. But while apart from Shiva, it is formless and in an active state of power. The pure Shiva state of consciousness is stillness and changeless. Pure consciousness is unmanifested and infinite. A pure Shiva state of consciousness cannot be contained and cannot be manifested. A pure Shiva state of consciousness is bodiless because it cannot be contained. As pure consciousness, it is still part of the whole, the absolute, the God. All right, so let's pause there and let's take a look at this first footnote, which is Shakti 4 principles. First principle, Vijnana Shakti. Please forgive my Sanskrit. The universal karmic signatures of wisdom, knowledge, and laws that governs intelligent movement, builds and describes the omniscient intelligent framework of the universe. Number 2, Chitta Shakti. The universal karmic signatures of mind substance that permeates all creation. It is the blackboard for the universe. It shapes and molds all aspects of Shakti. 3, Prana Shakti. The universal karmic signatures that produces the all-pervasive power of the universe that all animated and non-animated life forms use to express life. And the 4th principle, Amanda Shakti. The universal karmic signatures that produces bliss and preservation. It is the Shakti power that preserves activity cycles of creation. Okay. So pick up here at the soul. The soul is a bodiless consciousness that expresses the duality of the spirit in its absolute state of endless potential. This duality of power can be described as a positive and negative source of power. One source of the duality of power is the background source in perfect stillness, perfect silence, untouched, detached from all things and attached to all things, all sound and all movement. In the ancient books, they call it the power Shiva, an ultra-positive force. In the other source of this duality of power is a source of perfect movement, perfect sound. That source that connects itself to all things. That source that is the results of all actions. It is the power of all actions. The soul created by spirit as the traveling aspect of the soul to gain experience within the manifested realms of existence. The soul uses the creative power and forces of the universe, which is the principles of Shakti and its modifications to build vehicles of expressions that the soul works through in order to gain experience in the manifested realms of existence, which takes eons to cycle through. At the same time, the subtle and gross manifested matter that makes up the vehicles of expression for the soul is risen to higher levels of vibrations, as the lower aspects of the soul progress out of that level of mental substance, of mental, subtle, gross expression of manifestation. Okay. Do you have any questions or comments so far? If not, let's keep going. Number 3, the Auric Body. This is the original manifested subtle body of the soul. is created by the soul to allow it to gain experience in multi-levels of limited states of consciousness through countless reincarnations. The subtle auric bodies, or unit, is a series of subtle magnetic fields that exist on the etheric, astral, and subtle gross physical planes. These auric magnetic fields of substance are designed to hold patterns of consciousness for the soul. It has the ability to receive and transfer mental intelligence to the various aspects of consciousness within the auric fields of operations. In addition, these auric magnetic fields are designed to hold in place signature patterns of various degrees of subtle vital energies in time cycles. It is also capable of receiving and transferring patterns of subtle vital energy configurations as well. The auric body acts as the manifested pool of endless potential that the soul has set up to pull down the universal mind substance and Shakti power in order to modify it into vehicles of expression. The auric body is used by the soul as a vehicle or tool in order to create the background patterns for building the correct proportioned, subtle, and gross vehicles of expression with the exact karmic framework for the countless experience cycles needed. In other words, the auric body is designed to operate on all planes of existence. Now, this means that the auric body is in full operation on every level of consciousness or realms throughout the 108 chakras within the human auric structure. I say this to point out that every chakra is not only a level of consciousness or vortex center of power, but a total realm of existence. The auric body, as the soul's body, is locked into all these vortex centers of power, or the chakras, which are also realms of existence and represent levels of consciousness. Such complexity is almost incomprehensible. The auric body created the soul, the auric body created by the soul to exist on all levels of existence in order to house the soul's vehicles of expression while gaining cycles of experience through multiple realms of consciousness from one incarnation to the next. This auric body is indestructible and lasts throughout eons of time cycles. All the soul's vehicles of expression resides within the auric body's structural layers while gaining experience from one incarnation cycle to the next, whether it's the subtle or the gross realms of existence. So in the past, we've heard Nehemiah describe the auric envelope or body as the atmosphere in which we exist in, similar to the atmosphere of the earth in which we all exist, live within. And this auric body is carried through all of our incarnation cycles. So the physical and astral bodies change, but the auric body persists. Any questions? No. I'll go to number 4, the mental bodies. I think we'll cover these 11 points, and then we'll call it a day for this class, because I know it's a lot of material. I don't want to overwhelm everyone. So I think we'll cover these 11. And then we'll leave the rest for next time. Number 4, the mental bodies. This part of the soul's vehicles of expression consists of the supra-conscious mind, super-conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the conscious mind. These are 3 major various levels / divisions of man's mind that operate as mental vehicles of expression for consciousness. You'll notice in these teachings, in the mystic teachings, that a difference is made between mind and the brain. They're not the same thing. But we'll get into that later on in this text. Superconscious mind. This is the highest level of consciousness that the soul develops in order to operate from and on the highest realms of existence for this earth. The seat of operation for the soul, the superconscious mind. The soul's position for setting up background power of consciousness to move the power of endless potential through. At this level of man's mind, the intelligence is self-aware of soul and spirit, and therefore operates strictly according to the laws of karma or to the laws of God. It is the conscious realms of the avatars, ascended masters, and cosmic masters. These are the realms of existence and levels of consciousness that starts from the crown chakra, Sahasrara chakra, and above. So though in our studies we focus on mainly the Christ and below, or the crown and below to the Muladhara, there are realms of existence and chakras even beyond the crown. But for us, it's enough to focus on these 7 major centers, from the crown to the Muladhara. Next, move to the super conscious mind, one of the higher level consciousness where inspiration, intuition, and pure spiritual knowledge, sattvic quality of mind, flows from the soul. At this level of man's mind, the intelligence is self-aware of soul and spirit, and therefore operates strictly according to the laws of karma or God. It is the conscious realms of the adepts and the masters. Next, we look at the subconscious mind. This level of consciousness takes care of all involuntary body functions. It measures every drop of blood, every breath, thought, sound, and action in according to the karmic pressures being posed upon it. This level of mind also stores the memory of all thoughts and actions that we make. At this level of mind, it also realizes that it is part of a whole, and it is manifested to and for specific duties and functions to benefit the evolutionary journey of the soul. And finally, the conscious mind. This level of consciousness is the basic mental level of mind that perceives the world through the sense organs and sensory perception of the gross physical body and the emotional mental body. This level has the most basic level of self-awareness or self-consciousness. This level of consciousness is plagued with all manners of mental psychosis because of our false knowledge obtained through our limited sensory perception. Mental bodies created by the soul via the Auric Body, this Auric structure, is designed to pull on the many Shakti modifications of universe to work on multiple realms of consciousness. This is where the Chitta, universal supply of mind energies, are turned into manas, Chitta, universal mind, touched and modified by man's thoughts and actions. These mental bodies shape the 5 major and minor subtle pranas within auric structures. Number 5, the Shakti and Kundalini. Kundalini, a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. Kundalini is a configuration of Shakti power molded by the soul in order to express a portion of the soul's intelligence through a field of limited consciousness. It is the dormant power of Shakti, centrally located at the Muladhara chakra, and gradually radiates its essence throughout the limited lines of force to the vehicles of expression that lock into the Auric Body's influence. Kundalini is the primary life force of the human body. It is the great cosmic energy given to the soul, the life streams of this earth, through the logos of this earth, to gain the necessary experience needed in this classroom called the planet Earth. The greatest portion of this power of Kundalini within the human body lies dormant and untapped at the base of the spine column. Kundalini is that Shakti power that has moved from the great perfect equilibrium state of Shiva and Shakti to initiate the process of involution. The process of involution can be described as the manifestation of the soul's tools of expression, such as the Nadi System, the superconscious mind, subconscious mind, conscious mind, and the pranic systems, or the cosmic energy within and surrounding the bodies, and the subtle bodies and the physical body. Within this Shakti, when this Shakti finishes the formation of all the above tools of expression for the soul, it rests in and at the base of the spine, or the Muladhara chakra, by revealing the great Shiva power within itself and then coiling itself around this Shiva 3.5 times. This Shakti state is called Kundalini at this stage. This power of Kundalini is the cosmic life force within the physical, subtle, and mental bodies of man. The power of this Kundalini radiates through man's subtle bodies and the physical body via the nadis. This power is the key to man's evolution. Kundalini is that power used by man to unlock the tremendous power of the soul and spirit by activating the major chakras, which are located along the spinal column. Each chakra has what is called a bindu, which is a point of consciousness of the soul and a doorway to the all-knowledge space of the spirit. The presence of the bindu creates a tremendous vortex of power that the soul manages within and outside the chakras. The sacral energy is pulled on and contained by the soul in a state of Sushumna and Kundalini to be used for the unfoldment and enlightenment of the embodied consciousness, Jiva. This Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness which is used to gain cycles of experience. The Chakra System. A vortex center of power within the auric structure that is connected to the universal supply of organized modified Shakti that forms the realms of conscious existence. This chakra system are vortex centers that are held in place by a combination of sacral sound, subtle sound vibrations, 5 cosmic subtle elements, Mahabhutas, 5 subtle pranas, and very subtle colored lights creates the flow of these energies, are created from the flow of these energies. The Nadi System, a system of 3 distinct flows of subtle energies within the auric structure, known as the negative flow of subtle energies, classified as mental energies and called the Ida Nadis. A positive flow of subtle energies classified as vital energies and called Pingala Nadis. And the third type of subtle energies known as the Sushumna Nadis, which is a neutral flow of subtle energies where a negative and positive flow energies move in the same direction. The pathways of these subtle energy flows are lines of force that are numbered up to be around 72,000 pathways, 240,000 pathways, and 720,000 pathways, depending on what school of thought you are studying. All schools of thought do agree that these Nadic lines of forces intersect with the 108 chakras within the layers of the Auric body. It is believed that all the nadis extending from the Muladhara chakra moves forward and intersects with all the chakras along the spine. Number 8, the subtle energy formations. This is a flow of subtle energies consisting of 5 major subtle pranas energies that travel through and on the surface of the Nadic lines of force. Each prana is a distinct movement and pattern to its nature, and each prana is centrally located at 5 of the major chakra points along the spine. The 5 named major pranas are 1, Apana. Is there a table here? No, there's no table this side. Apana, a major prana that is centrally located at the base of the spine chakra, Muladhara chakra, and moves towards the heart chakra and bounces back to the base of the spine chakra without fully mixing with the heart chakra energies. This prana represents the subtle energies behind solid matter. It also represents the start of basic consciousness. Dhyana, this major flow of subtle prana is centrally located at the sex chakra, and this energy moves throughout the entire body. The Dhyana prana represents the mental energies of the body. It helps to move consciousness throughout the whole body and auric structure. The sex chakra is where the basic consciousness of man resides. 3, Samana. This major flow of subtle prana is centrally located at the solar plexus chakra. The Samana prana has a quality and ability to transform energies from one state of being or level to the next. This Samana prana has a light, heat, and fire quality. Number 4, prana. This major flow of subtle pranas is centrally located at the heart chakra, and the energies moves down from its location through Samana prana at the solar plexus chakra and the Dhyana pranas at the sex chakra to the base of the spine chakra. There, it bounces back up to the heart chakra before it can mix with the Apana prana. This prana at the heart chakra represents the subtle energies behind the subtle gases within the atmosphere. It is the air, the winds, the subtle vapors of the Earth's atmospheres. Udana. This major flow of subtle pranas is centrally located and flow through the extremity regions of the bodies, which is the head, arms, hands, legs, and feet. This Udana prana is the energies that help usher in the power of self-expression. Right? Number 9, the etheric body. How long are we going to go? The etheric bodies are the subtle vehicles made up from the energy configurations of the higher chakra levels, from the heart chakra and up. These vortex centers that make up the etheric body are also where the levels of higher consciousness operate. Man's higher levels of consciousness operate. The etheric body is a super conscious state, a subtle vehicle utilized by the advanced men of Earth once they have shed the impurities of manas that anchors men to the lower instincts of mind and body. The etheric body is the original subtle body utilized by the Adamic man during the Rudra period, the Surya period, up until the Chandra period. Under the Chandra period, hundreds of millions of new life streams were introduced to the Earth realms of existence, which created a huge distortion across the planet. This distortion created the astral realms of Earth. To accommodate life streams operating from lower state of existence than the Adamic race of man that was already here. All right. So for more information about these periods, you can look back on our classes on the, what's Manuel Vasquez's teaching called again? Secret Doctrines. Also, we have classes where we look at the time periods. We also have notes. I think I emailed them out a couple of weeks ago to some of you. They may be in the shared drive folder where Nehemiah breaks down the time periods and the cycles in the large Brahmic calendar.
Yeah, also, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so also I should have, when I wrote this a long time ago, I should have gave the distinction. Go back to it. We're really talking about the first period I mentioned, the Adamic man during the Rucha. That's Earth. That's Earth, Sun, and Moon combined. And then the Sutra. That's the Sun.
Surya period.
And, yeah. And then the Chantra. That's the Moon. Which we are essentially moon type. Our bodies are moon type bodies because the moon forms the mental realms for us, and we run on the cycles of the moon. The portal in which we enter this earth is through woman, and because of that, we run on the cycles of the moon. Because women are more mental creatures than what man are. Though man thinking first, but it's not. So that's what I mean by that. But during that time, when the bodies of man move to a more what they call a fifth root race of man, became more of a mental realm because of the distortion, really, because it should be balanced. But the great teachings say eventually it will become balanced. At that time, the female species will rule this planet. So one of the reasons why we're on the chaos now is because man ruled the planet. And there's an imbalance.
So is this why the think it's when you describing the pranas and the bhutas, they're grouped into these three, the earth group, solar group, and the moon group.
Right. They are the three conversion points of energy.
So are there any questions before I move on to the astral body? Any comments? Let's see. All right. Let's move on to the astral and finish up with the physical body. And be a short class, but a lot of information. And after physical body, I'll open up for any questions, any topics you guys have. And after that Q&A period, we'll close out today's open discussion. So number 10, the astral body. The energy configuration of this vehicle of expression is the result of man's fall of consciousness. The astral bodies are made up from the mental and energy configuration of the lower chakras from the solar plexus chakra downward. The makeup of the astral body is the result of distorted energy patterns of man that keep mankind locked into a passionate state of mind and a series of subtle desire bodies that resonates with all of the passionate traits. The astral body is the subtle counterpart for the gross physical body. The astral bodies are made up from the mental and energy configuration of the lower chakras from solar plexus downward. The makeup of the astral body is a result of, I have to go for that, the sort of energy patterns that keep mankind like a passionate state. Actually, that repeats twice. So 11, the physical body. This gross body is also the result of the fall of man's consciousness. The physical realm that we now live or exist within has become the middle passage for the human race. The physical body is the gross aspect of all the above vehicles of consciousness and the vehicles of expression. Being that the physical realm is the gross aspect of all the above aspects, it has the greatest amount of concentrated karmic pressures in active manifestation. Therefore, it is the best realm and the best body to actually burn up negative karma and also create positive karma under these conditions. In other words, while in the gross physical incarnation, you can advance lifetimes in a single life because of these concentrated karmic pressures wrapped up in the physical body. All right. And that concludes the first main area of study. Next time, we will look at the second main area, which goes into karma and the 10 major yogas of karma. So do we have any questions, any comments, any observations? Oops. Here. All right, as we...
Can you send me a link? Like the link I got is not working.
In the email's not working?
Yeah, I tried.
Let's give us a couple minutes here. We're trying to get Nehemiah reconnected to the stream. But as we wait for that, I want to show everyone the location of the text that we will be studying next. So if you go to mysticknowledge.org and under ebook library 1 tab, you can see Yogi Ramacharaka / William Walker Atkinson section, like I mentioned earlier. And there you see 13 texts and PDFs that you can download, but we will mainly be looking at the first six, which are the Hindu Yogi Science of Breath, 14 lessons in Yogi philosophy, the advanced course in Yoga philosophy, series of lessons in Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga or the Yogi philosophy, and series of lessons in Nadi Yoga. So those will be the 6 texts we will look at maybe in the third and fourth quarter this year. And we should take this into next year, depending on how much we get through and how quickly we move through the material. Nima, I don't know if you can hear me. I see that you're connected, but it doesn't look like your microphone is connected.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Can you? I don't know, the old connection died or something.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and there's just like a little bit of feedback.
Okay.
So there's a question here. Are we able to control and do anything with our auric bodies?
You do everything through your auric bodies. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, so yeah, everything is done through the auric body. The auric body is that operating system for all the bodies. When you project with your astral body, you're still working through the auric body. When you project through your etheric body, you're still working through the auric body. When you project from with the astral body from any chakra level, because in order to project from the auric body, you have to lead through a portal, and that portal is one of the major chakras. So when you project, you take the auric body with you. You take a part of the auric body with you. When you project on the etheric plane, you take a part of the auric body with you. And then when you go on those etheric planes or astral planes and you want to do a second projection, you still take the auric body with you. So the auric body is the thing that keeps the physical astral body, the etheric body, the mental bodies. It keep those bodies operative. You cannot exist outside of the auric body, because the auric body is the real traveling body of the soul, and the soul is a traveling body of the spirit. I hope that answers your question.
Are there any more questions or comments? No, I said there was one more thing I wanted to come.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, and Bernard, being an engineer, he could probably weigh into this. If you go back to the Kundalini, in the ancient, they describe the Shakti power being wrapped around this core of Shiva, or this core of substance. Bernard, this favor the core of any like electrical or machinery, right? Are you there, Bernard?
Yeah, it's similar what they do to the magnet and the coil, how they have a piece of iron, and iron is a rod, and then you wrap that coil, that piece of wire around that metal, and then you release the current through the coil, and then that creates the magnetic field. It's the same, essentially it's the same principle.
Yeah, and they described this thousands upon thousands of years ago. So what they was really describing was some type of principle, electrical principle, because we know, because later on, as they continue to describe it, they say once this the Shakti power is poured around this substance at the base of the spine, which is, which we know that's the most bony or hard substance in the body. Then from that comes the magnetic electrical thing we call the nadis, and they describe the nadis coming out of the base of the spine and creating this magnetic web within the auric body, which essentially forms a field of consciousness. So these ancient teachings are following the principles of nature or science that we have discovered over the past 600-700 years in this period of time. So it's not straying outside of those principles. In fact, it gives greater insight. So when you study this, go ahead.
Interestingly enough, if you look at the evolution of, I don't want to say science, but let's just say engineering, because engineering is science made manifest or science in motion. But if you look at the evolution of engineering and science, what you realize is that, and you compare it to the metaphysical principles, what you have is you have at the very beginning of at least known history, you have the essence of, you have those principles, and what you see in engineering is the same exact idea that's in nature and that exists in nature and the body. At the very beginning stages, it's those principles without life or without mind substance, completely what people erroneously call an inorganic state. And so what happens is as the engineering evolves and the science evolves, the principle remains the same. It's very static. It'll never really change. But what you see is man's ability to infuse or capture more mind and mental stuff in the very same principle. So the evolution of the science really doesn't change, with the great exception that the matter and the material changes, and it changes in a way to capture and hold more mind. We know it as the divas, really, but without getting too complicated into that, essentially it's mental substance that's been somehow or another encapsulated into this inorganic matter. So over a period of time, at some point, the machines will become alive, so to speak, and that's when it goes to another level.
Yeah, the metaphysician or the mystic says that the first principle of Shakti is an intelligent matrix, which is Nani, and then the mind energy works within that intelligent matrix, and that intelligent matrix is not only Nani, but it's karma, because it's an intelligent matrix built on laws or parameters, like a framework. And then mind works within that, and then mind controls the prana, and then the prana or the Shakti power, which is energy, and then the second, the fourth Shakti principle becomes a mana, which is the preservation energy, to preserve it in its cycles. You know, it creates, because that energy, the intelligent configuration, the mind gives life to preservation, and then preservation gives life to movement, because it creates the conduit to allow things to move and travel from one point to the next. So I mean, and that's been their principle for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And I think scientists describes it, they just don't describe it in the manner in which the mystics do. Of course, they leave out the mind part, but they introduce the intelligent matrix that everything moves in. They have to play off a law. So I think the more you study these principles, you'll see the metaphysical science of this philosophy and teachings.
Any other questions or comments?
What's after this this section? What?
This section is section 2, karma, the second area of study, and the 10 major yogas of karma.
And then the section after that?
Section after that is Tantra Yoga.
Okay.
No further questions. Let's go ahead and close today's class with the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so, receive for their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. granted energy to sing on ever and forever. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance and your attention.
All right, thanks, Dwayne.
All right, see you all next week.